In the year 1066, England stands on the precipice of chaos. King Edward the Confessor has died, leaving no clear heir. The air is thick with uncertainty, and the kingdom is vulnerable to the ambitions of powerful rivals. Rumors swirl like smoke in the mead halls, each noble claiming Edward promised them the throne. Harold Godwinson, a robust man in his 40s with a square jaw and piercing blue eyes, emerges as the strongest contender, but his coronation feels uneasy. As Harold is crowned, a blazing comet streaks across the night sky, casting an eerie glow. Priests murmur that this omen signals impending disaster, heightening the tension in the already fraught atmosphere. Across the sea, two rivals watch with hungry eyes. William, Duke of Normandy, believes he has a rightful claim to the throne, convinced that Edward promised him the crown and that Harold swore an oath to support him. Meanwhile, Harald Hardrada of Norway, a fierce warrior with long braided hair and a weathered face, prepares his own claim. His eyes burn with ambition, ready to seize the opportunity presented by England's instability. As these rivals plot their moves, England's fate hangs in the balance. Harold tries to solidify his claim, but the whispers of betrayal and ambition echo louder with each passing day, threatening to engulf the kingdom. The kingdom's nobles, once united under Edward, now eye each other warily. Loyalties are fragile, and the promise of power drives men to consider treachery. The stage is set for conflict, with alliances as shifting as the tides. As the comet fades from the sky, the urgency of the moment grows. Harold knows he must act swiftly to secure his position, yet the shadows of doubt and ambition loom larger than ever. In the monasteries, monks pray for guidance, their chants echoing in the stillness. They sense the storm brewing, aware that the fate of England is about to change forever, caught in the crosshairs of ambition. The winds of fate begin to shift. With each passing moment, the ambitions of William and Harold grow more pronounced. England stands at the edge of an unprecedented storm, its future uncertain and fraught with peril. As rival claims and fragile loyalties collide, one question looms large: who will seize the crown, and at what cost? The stage is set for a battle that will determine the fate of a kingdom. Harold Godwinson, a robust man in his early 40s with a square jaw and piercing blue eyes, rides hard across the English countryside. His dark hair, now flecked with gray, whips in the wind as he rallies earls to his cause. Urgency fills the air as Harold inspects coastal defenses. Wooden palisades rise against the crashing waves, while men dig trenches and sharpen weapons, all under a sky heavy with impending rain. Harold's gaze is fixed on the horizon, where the sea meets the sky. He knows that the winds of fate are shifting, and every gust could herald the arrival of invaders who threaten his newly claimed crown. To the north, Harald Hardrada, the fierce Viking king with a weathered face and long braided hair, prepares his longships for a monumental assault. His men, hardened warriors, sharpen their axes and ready their shields. Hardrada's camp buzzes with anticipation. Warriors chant old battle songs, their voices rising above the sound of waves. They are driven by a promise made long ago, a call to reclaim what they believe is theirs. In Normandy, William stares out over the harbor, frustration etched on his face. His army, cloaked in chainmail and banners, waits idly as the winds refuse to shift, holding them back from their destiny. Days stretch into weeks. Knights practice their swordplay while priests offer blessings, invoking divine favor. William interprets the comet's appearance as a sign of his impending victory, a celestial endorsement of his claim. As the winds finally shift, excitement surges through William's camp. Men rush to their ships, horses whinnying in anticipation. The moment of invasion is at hand, the air thick with the scent of salt and ambition. William's heart races as he boards his ship, the weight of expectation heavy on his shoulders. He knows that this journey will determine not just his fate, but the fate of an entire kingdom. Back in England, Harold's preparations grow more frantic. He gathers intelligence, sending scouts to watch the coastline, aware that time is slipping through his fingers like sand in an hourglass. As the sun sets on the horizon, three claimants prepare for their fateful clash. Each man, driven by ambition and destiny, stands on the brink of a conflict that will change England forever. In the early days of September 1066, Harald Hardrada's forces landed near York, their longships cutting through the misty waters. The Viking king, a formidable warrior in his 50s, sought to reclaim a promised throne, igniting a fierce conflict in England. As Hardrada's men advanced, they swiftly overwhelmed local defenses, their battle cries echoing through the narrow streets of York. The city, with its stone walls and timber structures, trembled under the weight of Viking ambition. Harold Godwinson, alerted to the Viking invasion, faced an agonizing decision. Should he defend the south from William or race north to confront Hardrada? Time was slipping away, and he chose the latter, rallying his weary men. The journey north was grueling. Harold's army marched hundreds of kilometers, their boots pounding the muddy roads, exhaustion etched on their faces. Each soldier felt the weight of their kingdom's fate pressing down on them. On September 25th, the two armies met at Stamford Bridge. The battle erupted with a ferocity that echoed through the ages, as Harold's men caught the Norwegians by surprise, their resolve ignited by the urgency of their mission. The clash was brutal. Harold's forces fought valiantly, but the cost was steep. Both Hardrada and Harold's own brother Tostig fell amidst the chaos, their blood staining the earth, marking a turning point in the conflict. As the dust settled, Harold surveyed the battlefield, victory bittersweet. His men were exhausted, wounded, and far from home. The weight of their loss hung heavily in the air, a prelude to the challenges ahead. Just as hope flickered, a messenger arrived with grim news. William had landed in the south. Harold's heart sank, realizing the urgency of his situation. The kingdom was stretched thin, and time was no ally. With little time to recover, Harold ordered his men to march south once more. The weight of leadership pressed down on him, and he felt the strain of every decision, every life hanging in the balance. As they marched, the landscape transformed from the muddy fields of the north to the rolling hills of the south. Each step was a reminder of the looming confrontation with William, a race against time. With every passing hour, the stakes grew higher. Harold's men pushed onward, their loyalty unwavering, yet the specter of William's forces loomed ever closer. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change England forever. Harold Godwinson, a man in his early 40s with a sturdy build and dark hair flecked with gray, leads his weary troops southward. The sun hangs low, casting long shadows as they trudge through muddy fields, their faces drawn with fatigue. Each step is a struggle. Blisters burst into bloody sores, and men stumble, fighting the urge to sleep on their feet. Yet, the thought of Norman conquest drives them onward, the crown's weight heavy on Harold's shoulders. As they march, Harold's mind races with worries. He recalls the burning villages along the Sussex coast, a cruel tactic by William to provoke him. Each flame is a reminder of the urgency of their mission. Upon reaching London, Harold finds his advisors anxious, urging him to wait for reinforcements. Their faces reflect fear and uncertainty, yet Harold knows every moment spent waiting could mean surrender. The weight of the crown presses heavily on Harold. He glances at the hastily gathered troops, their eyes filled with loyalty but also exhaustion. He senses that time is slipping away, and he must act. Leaving the city behind, Harold rides forward, his dark hair now tousled and his armor scratched from previous battles. The road stretches ahead, a winding path through the English countryside, fraught with tension. As they approach Hastings, the landscape shifts. Harold's men march through rolling hills, the air thick with anticipation. They know the Norman forces are waiting, fortified and ready for battle. William, meanwhile, fortifies his position, his banners snapping in the wind. He watches the horizon, confident and calculating, knowing that the longer Harold delays, the stronger his grip on England becomes. With each passing moment, Harold feels the urgency grow. His men are weary, but their spirit remains unbroken. They march on, united by a shared purpose, to defend their homeland from foreign rule. As night falls, the camp is filled with the low murmur of men sharing tales of valor. Harold listens, his heart heavy with the knowledge that tomorrow will bring a decisive confrontation that could change everything. With dawn approaching, Harold steels himself for the battle ahead. The crown demands speed, and the fate of England hangs in the balance. Tomorrow, they will face their destiny on Senlac Hill. As dawn breaks on October 14, 1066, a cold mist blankets Senlac Hill. Harold Godwinson, a sturdy man in his 40s, with a weathered face and dark hair, stands resolutely among his men, their breath visible in the frigid air. The Saxon shield wall forms a formidable barrier, shields locked together, creating an unyielding front. Housecarls wield their great axes, while the furred militia, with their spears, stand ready, eyes fixed on the valley below. Below, William of Normandy surveys his forces with a keen eye. His army, a blend of knights and archers, is arranged in disciplined formations, banners fluttering in the wind, the papal standard a stark contrast against the morning sky. The air is thick with tension as both armies prepare for the inevitable clash. Each soldier senses the weight of history pressing down upon them, knowing that today will alter the fate of England forever. Harold, his brow furrowed with resolve, glances at the golden dragon banner fluttering above him. This symbol of his kingdom represents not just power, but the lives of those who stand beside him, ready to defend their home. As the sun rises higher, the sounds of horns echo across the battlefield. The signal for battle reverberates, and both sides prepare to unleash their fury, knowing that the outcome will reshape their lives. With a thunderous roar, the first arrows launch into the sky, arcing toward the Saxon shield wall. The air fills with the whistling of projectiles, a deadly prelude to the chaos that is about to unfold. The initial volleys strike the shield wall, arrows clattering against wood and metal. Harold's men hold firm, their shields absorbing the onslaught, a testament to their training and resolve in the face of adversity. William's forces press forward, the disciplined Norman infantry charging uphill, their formation a stark contrast to the raw ferocity of the Saxon defense. The battlefield transforms into a brutal contest of strength and strategy. As the clash intensifies, the sound of steel against steel fills the air. Harold's men, fueled by loyalty and desperation, fight fiercely to protect their land, their faces etched with determination and fear. The battle rages on, a swirling mass of bodies and chaos, each moment a testament to the stakes at hand. The outcome remains uncertain, as both sides fight not just for victory, but for their very existence. As the battle rages on Senlac Hill, the English shield wall stands resolute, a formidable barrier of interlocked shields and determined faces. Harold Godwinson, a tall man with a strong build, dark hair and piercing blue eyes, watches intently, his brow furrowed with concentration. Each arrow that strikes their defenses only strengthens their resolve, but the tension is palpable, a fragile calm before the storm. William's forces unleash a barrage of arrows, the projectiles raining down like a dark cloud. The English soldiers brace themselves, their wooden shields absorbing the blows. Despite the chaos, the shield wall holds firm, reflecting Harold's strategic foresight. The cries of men and the thud of arrows create a symphony of conflict, echoing across the battlefield as the two armies clash. The Norman infantry charges uphill, their armor glinting in the muted light. They crash against the English line, but the shield wall remains unyielding. With each failed attempt, William's men begin to falter, their morale shaken. Harold's strategy seems to be paying off, yet the weight of battle hangs heavy in the air, a reminder that victory is still uncertain. As the sun climbs higher, a rumor spreads through the Norman ranks. William has fallen. Panic ignites like wildfire, and the once disciplined soldiers hesitate. Harold, sensing the shift, urges his men to hold their ground, but the tension is palpable. The shield wall, a bastion of strength, now faces an unseen enemy: doubt. In a moment of desperation, parts of Harold's furred break formation, chasing after the retreating Normans. The battlefield shifts as the disciplined English line begins to waver. Harold's heart races. He knows that this moment of weakness could tip the balance. His voice rises above the din, urging his men to remain steadfast. William, realizing the chaos unfolding, removes his helmet, revealing his determined face. He raises his sword high, rallying his troops with fierce shouts. The sight of their leader ignites a spark of courage in the Normans, who begin to regroup, ready to counter the English advance. The tide of battle shifts once more. With renewed vigor, William orders a countercharge, sending his cavalry thundering forward. The ground shakes beneath the hooves of the horses as they cut through the disarrayed English lines. Harold watches in horror as his men, now scattered, face the full force of the Norman onslaught, their shield wall beginning to crumble. The shield wall, though battered, does not break entirely. Yet with each passing moment, the English ranks thin. The cries of the wounded and the clash of steel fill the air, a cacophony of desperation. Harold's heart sinks as he realizes that the battle's outcome hangs by a thread, teetering on the edge of chaos. William, now employing feigned retreats, lures more English soldiers into fatal charges. The battlefield becomes a deadly game of cat and mouse, where every moment of hesitation could lead to disaster. Harold's resolve is tested as he fights to maintain order, but the pressure mounts and the line begins to falter. As the sun begins to set, the relentless struggle continues, each side fighting for survival. The shield wall, once a symbol of strength, now shows signs of strain, its fate uncertain. In the heart of this turmoil, Harold knows that the next moments will decide the future of England, and he steels himself for the fight ahead. As the sun hangs low in the sky, the battle rages on, with Harold's men, weary but resolute, fighting valiantly atop Senlac Hill. Each clash of steel echoes the desperation of a kingdom on the brink of collapse. The air thickens with the sounds of war. The cries of men and the twang of bowstrings fill the atmosphere. William's archers, relentless in their assault, adjust their aim, sending a deadly rain of arrows toward the English ranks. Fatigue seeps into the hearts of Harold's men as the hours drag on. Their strength wanes, but the resolve to protect their king and homeland fuels their fight. Each moment is a battle against exhaustion. As the sun begins to dip, the tide of battle shifts. William's forces press harder, their disciplined formations overwhelming the thinning English line. The weight of history hangs heavy in the air. In the midst of chaos, a fateful volley is released. Tradition claims one arrow finds its mark in Harold's eye, sealing the fate of a king. The legend begins to take shape, but the reality is grim. Harold falls, surrounded by his loyal housecarls, who fight fiercely to protect their king. The sight of their fallen leader sends shockwaves through the English ranks, unraveling their defenses. With Harold's death, the heart of the English resistance falters. The shield wall, once a formidable barrier, begins to crumble under the relentless Norman advance, marking a pivotal moment in the battle. William's forces, emboldened by victory, surge up Senlac Hill, overwhelming the remaining English defenders. The cries of the fallen fill the air, and the landscape transforms into a graveyard of a dynasty. As dusk settles over the battlefield, William stands victorious, surveying the remnants of the Anglo-Saxon kingdom. The weight of his conquest looms large, and the future of England hangs in the balance. The day draws to a close, but the echoes of the battle will resonate through history. England, forever changed, faces an uncertain future under a new ruler as the sun sinks below the horizon. In the wake of Hastings, William the Conqueror swiftly solidifies his grip on England. Towns that dare to resist him are met with fierce retribution, their structures reduced to smoldering ruins, their inhabitants left in fear of Norman reprisal. With the Anglo-Saxon nobility dismantled, William replaces them with loyal Norman lords. These new rulers establish their dominance through fortified castles, rising like stone giants across the English landscape, symbols of their newfound power. As the old order crumbles, the English language begins to transform. Norman French seeps into everyday speech, blending with Old English, creating a new linguistic tapestry that will shape the identity of the nation. The church undergoes a radical reorganization as well. Monasteries are repurposed, and new bishops loyal to William are appointed, reshaping the spiritual landscape of England and aligning it more closely with continental Europe. Laws are rewritten to reflect Norman ideals, creating a legal system that prioritizes feudal loyalty and land ownership. The old Anglo-Saxon customs fade, replaced by a new order that favors the conquerors. The cultural shift is palpable. Traditional English customs and practices are overshadowed by Norman influences, altering everything from cuisine to fashion as the two cultures begin to intertwine. William's reign marks a pivotal moment in history as England becomes increasingly tied to the continent. Trade routes expand and alliances form, drawing the nation into a broader European narrative. The legacy of Hastings is not merely a change in rulers, but a profound transformation of identity. The blending of cultures begins to forge a new England, one that will endure for centuries. As the years pass, the memory of the shield wall at Hastings becomes a symbol of lost resistance. The question lingers, how different would England be if Harold had triumphed that fateful day? Hastings was not just a battle, it was a turning point that redefined a nation. The echoes of that day resonate through time, reminding us of the fragile nature of power and identity.